Have you ever reacted to something small, like a tone of voice, a harmless comment, or someone not texting you back with a wave of some kind of panic or shame or anger? A lot of us are walking around with invisible wounds, not the kind that you'll associate with trauma in the traditional sense here, not always bruises or breakdowns, but subtle, chronic emotional injuries from years of feeling unseen, unheard, like we had to earn love to belong. So, in today's video, I want to talk about something that affects way more people than we realize, and that includes you: emotional flashbacks. These flashbacks, they can hijack our nervous system in a split second, and most of the time, we don't even realize it's happening. We just think that we're too sensitive or overreacting, like we haven't been gaslit enough. But this goes deeper than that. It goes into how our nervous system was wired. And by the way, adding an addendum here, what I'm talking about today, spare yourself some grief here by staying quiet around the subject to the narcissist in your life, because they're going to milk that for all that it's worth. They're going to use it to gaslight you, and they will use it to put ownership onto you of their bad behavior that belongs to them. So hush, hush. So most people think of trauma as big events: abuse, neglect, violence, but emotional trauma can also come from smaller, repeated moments of feeling unseen, unsafe, unloved, or not enough. And each of those feelings, the times that no one looked at you as a child, the times that you were scared because drunk daddy and mommy were fighting and threatening to divorce, the times that you were made to feel stupid or unsupported, those moments are an emotional trauma that you experienced. And in those experiences, especially in childhood when the nervous system is still developing, they get stored in the body and the subconscious mind. Those memories are still there. You're going to need to get rid of them by either erasing or overwriting the program. Hypnosis is a big one. And since I specialize in that, you can start by listening to some that I have on my channel. I'll leave the links down below. But getting back to the subject, later in life, when something reminds us, even subtly, of those early wounds, a tone of voice, a rejection, a conflict, even a look, the body, it can react as if the original event is happening all over again. And that is an emotional flashback. Most people brush off emotional flashbacks because the trigger seems so small. A look, a tone, a disagreement doesn't feel serious enough to dig into. But what they don't realize is that these flashbacks quietly run the show. They shape how we react, how we connect to others, how safe we feel in our body, and even how much that you believe you're worthy of love or success. You might think that you're just too sensitive or bad at relationships, but it's not that. It's old pain acting itself out in the present. And when that pain goes unaddressed, it it leaks into everything. Your ability to trust people, to set boundaries, to show up fully for your dreams. You stay stuck in survival mode, managing, coping, numbing instead of actually living. Healing emotional flashbacks doesn't mean that your past goes away, but it does mean that you get your power back. You start to respond instead of react. You stop abandoning yourself. And that shift, that's what opens the doors to real peace, deeper love, and a life that actually feels like your own. Does that not make you want to work on these issues? Don't minimize this anymore. Take a step forward in the idea that you matter, because you do. So keep listening and learn. For people with complex trauma, CPTSD, like growing up in an abusive family, an alcoholic household, or facing long-term emotional invalidation, emotional flashbacks can be frequent, intense, and confusing. You might suddenly feel shame, rejected, terror, panic, or numbness for no clear reason. And what I mean by confusing is, in the moments when you go into a fear state like that, you don't know how to respond. So you're either in flight, fight, or freeze response. In freeze, for example, you might go without speaking up or defending yourself if someone made you feel shame. And the reason that you would go into shame in the first place is because you are not, as of yet, emotionally literate. I'm going to do a video on that. And because of that, you don't know how to respond. So you freeze. Some go into flight as a response, meaning they might overeat or binge watch Netflix, drink, etc., or literally leave, not make yourself available. But even people with less obvious trauma, what some call little t trauma, will experience milder versions, sudden feelings of worthlessness after a small criticism, feeling abandoned during conflict, shutting down emotionally after being misunderstood. That's your flight right there. Overreacting to rejection or disapproval. And all of that can be traced to emotional flashbacks. Your present moment emotional state is flashing back to an old wound, even if the conscious mind doesn't realize it. And the real difference is some people have the self-awareness and tools to recognize it, and they can pause and they can regulate at that point. But others just get lost in the emotions and they act from that without knowing why. And a lot of times we call these triggers. A lot of people hear the word trauma and instantly think, well, that isn't me. I wasn't abused. I had a decent enough childhood. But the truth is trauma isn't always some big dramatic event. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just a collection of little moments, being misunderstood, not feeling seen, being told to toughen up when you were hurting, or feelings like you had to earn love by being good enough. And that stuff, it leaves a mark. That's why emotional flashbacks don't just belong to people with big trauma. They happen to almost everyone at some level. It's when your body and your nervous system start reacting to something in the present. But the emotion is way bigger than the moment deserves. It's like an old feeling sneaking back in without even asking permission. And the way we react, that's where the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses come in. These aren't just trauma responses, they're human responses to fear or discomfort. We all have them, and there are 4 of them. The fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses. If I haven't said it at the beginning, I don't remember. Sometimes you get defensive and snap back at someone, and that's the fight response. Fight makes us defensive or aggressive. When we feel unsafe, we might try to control or conquer the stress. And it isn't just how we react to others here. We get a project going, like maybe write a book or starting a business, and we'll go nonstop, no breaks at all. And that's me when I don't catch myself here, but that's out of balance. And then rather than things flowing easily and effortlessly and the ideas just come, or your answers, we spend way more energy just going in circles. And so often by the end of the day, rather than enjoying a walk with gratitude for the day, you find yourself depleted. And so you ignore the beauty of life. Mornings are the same. We just rush out of bed, checking off lists. Sometimes you feel the urge to just avoid the situation entirely. That's the flight. Flight makes us avoid a situation. The person might suddenly quit a job, walk out on a relationship, or merely walk away when wanting to avoid a conversation. We run away, even if it's just emotionally. We might find ourselves binge watching Netflix rather than writing that book like I just mentioned. In flight mode, a person might go get their nails done to feel better rather than look at the issue at hand. Might get their hair done, just get clothes, go shopping. Why do you think so many people shop? Someone who reaches for that glass of wine a little more often than they should is also in flight mode. It's easier to do something that makes us feel better momentarily than facing our discomforts. But when we can face them, we can face our pain and heal those parts of self. Life can become way easier in both our personal growth and relationships with others. And then sometimes nothing feels safe at all. Not speaking, not running, and not fighting. That's when we go into freeze. Freeze can look like procrastination, indecision, zoning out, or just feeling stuck. You might feel like you want to do something, make a change, say how you feel, go after a goal, but something inside just stalls. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of willpower. It's your nervous system pumping the brakes, believing that it's safer to do nothing than risk being hurt or rejected. And when you live in that space long enough, life can start to feel gray, like you're watching it from behind a glass, disconnected from joy, from others, even from yourself. And then there's Fawn. And this one's a bit trickier to spot because from the outside, it looks like being nice or easygoing. But inside, Fawn is about survival. It's the part of you that learned early on to stay safe by keeping everyone else happy. So you say yes when you want to say no. You agree to things that don't feel right. You swallow your needs, your voice, even your pain, just to avoid rocking the boat. Fawn responses often come from growing up in environments where love was conditional, where being good, quiet, or helpful was the only way to feel safe or accepted. But over time, fawning, it disconnects you from your truth. You start to lose track of who you really are because you're always tuned in to what other people want from you. Sometimes a person might feel frustrated, like everything is going from bad to worse as the day progresses, and they don't quite know why. But if you can sit with yourself long enough, even quietly, beneath that discomfort might be a decision waiting to be made, a new goal, the clarity to leave a situation that no longer serves you, the space to finally choose something better. We have to give ourselves the space. It's everything. These responses, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, they're not flaws. They're adaptations that your body and mind created to protect you. What kept you safe back then might be holding you back now. But when you start to recognize those patterns with compassion instead of shame, that's when healing begins. That's when you stop just surviving and you start truly living. Because when we don't pause to reflect, give ourselves the space, we tend to go in circles. We burn through energy trying to stay ahead of the discomfort. And by the end of the day, rather than enjoying a peaceful walk or feeling gratitude, we're depleted. We rush through mornings checking off lists, ignoring the beauty of life as it passes by. You don't have to grow up in chaos for these responses to show up in your life. You just have to grow up human. And the more self-aware you become, the easier it is to notice when an old wound is behind your reaction rather than the present moment. And that's where real change starts. When you can pause, breathe, and ask, is this about now or is this about back then? This feeling that I'm having. And the beautiful thing is, once you start noticing it, you've already taken your power back. So if you've ever found yourself stuck in patterns of overreacting, shutting down, avoiding conflict, or losing yourself in relationships, I want you to know it is not your fault. Your nervous system was doing what it needed to survive, and now you have the power to respond differently. Not perfectly, not instantly, but with awareness and with compassion. Start by pausing, breathe, ask yourself gently, is this now or is this an echo from the past? And when you start doing that, when you can sit with your feelings instead of running from them, listen to your body instead of numbing it, that's when healing begins. So be patient with yourself. This is a journey of self-reclamation, not self-fixing. And if you're ready to go deeper into this work, how emotional flashbacks affect our relationships, our decisions, and even our sense of purpose, be sure to check out my upcoming videos because I'll be focusing on that. I'll be sharing more tools, insights, and real talk on navigating life after emotional trauma. So you deserve peace, you deserve clarity, and most importantly, you deserve to feel safe in your own body again. Take care, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.